doer, and we're doing it better than anybody else alive. It's so hard for me to sit back here in this studio looking at a guy out here hollering my name. When last year I spent more money on spilled liquor in buying from one side of this world to the other than you make. You took the truth, the government, where Diamond Ring, where Get Stealing, Wheel of Deer, Living Visual, Jet Flag, son of a gun. Flag, son of a gun. And I'm having a hard time holding down this stuff.
Hey yo, it's that time in the show when we like to take a little survey. So is there anybody here that came to see that red hot black and white express? Survey says one more for the good guys.
Welcome to Fantasy Kingdom. I'm your host, Mikey, and always sitting shotgun. Howie, how you doing, brother?
Real good, real good.
Welcome to week 7 sit and start.
Dude,
Can you believe we're already in week 7 of the football season?
It's amazing, you know, and especially the way our league's working out with the way the everybody who is tied is playing each other this weekend, and that's just a total random shot.
Yeah, it's like tiered up too. So the way ours works, we have a friends and family money league that has 8 players. That's had more like year 20, I think it is in our fantasy league, and it's tiered. So first and second place is tied, and they're playing each other. Second and third, which is me and you, or third and fourth, which is me and you, are tied. By the way, I'm third, you're fourth. Just to throw that out there.
I'm going for the playoffs, baby.
Yeah, is playing each other, and then 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th, and like each one is its own tier of where they're at. And then our bottom 2 teams, man, are over at this point. Whew.
Yeah. Oh,
it's a rough year when you're over.
Battle of the bottom today. Although remember back in what was it, year 2 or 3, I went 0-7, and then I went 9-0 and won the whole thing.
Yeah, but that was the year that I had Priest Holmes and he got hurt, and you were on the East Coast and picked up Larry Johnson before I woke up.
Yeah,
and you rode him and Sean Alexander to the
5
Super Bowl.
o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a good year though. But I mean, they brought me all the way back from Ophir.
Yeah.
So if you guys are in a situation where you're way down, don't trade your best guy yet. Wait for that trade deadline, and a recommendation from a guy who always trades away draft picks: don't do it.
That's for keepers and dynasty leagues. Yeah, if it's a redraft league, you hoard as many guys as you can so the rest of the guys can't get them.
Right.
That's your job as a guy who probably won't make the playoffs, is to be a spoiler. Spoil someone else's year.
Yeah. If you see someone go down, pick up their backup so the other guys can't get them.
Yep.
Whether you need them or not, it doesn't matter. If you're losing, you're losing. You might as well screw somebody over. That's the motto.
It's not screw them over. It's playing the game correctly and being fair. Like if you were winning, you'd probably grab that guy. So you should grab him if you're losing.
I would grab him anyway. Yeah, but I mean, if you can, what am I trying? Be a spoiler.
There you go.
If you can't win it all, give somebody a big shit burger to eat.
Yeah, buddy.
Take that guy who's a few points away from making the playoffs and just beat him enough. Yeah. It's like, oh man, I missed the playoffs by 2 points.
And let it be because you picked up one of his guys' backups.
Oh yeah.
That's just golden. Not that I spend much time at the bottom.
Well, I spent 12 years at the bottom.
Yeah.
But the last 5 or 6 have been pretty good.
Yeah. Although in our fun league, I am towards the bottom, so I'm not doing great in our other league.
Our fun league, I'm 6-0.
I think I'm in 7th in that league. I'm not doing very hot in that league. I'm doing okay on points. I just always seem to play a guy who squeaks by me.
Yeah.
And that happens. But all right, let's do a recap of week 6 studs and duds. Start with the quarterback. Obviously, Tua still on his hot start. Be interesting to see what he looks like this week, as the Dolphins Eagles is one of our key matchups that we'll look at. Jared Goff had a fantastic week 6. Dak Prescott makes the studs list for I think the first or second time this year. I can't remember if I think it's the first time. I think he made honorable mention before, but first time making the top 3. He had a good game against the.
Yeah, he ran for his life for that one touchdown, and that pretty much set him up for the rest of the game.
Yep.
But other than that, I mean, I still didn't see a lot out of him. I still wouldn't put him in the top 10.
I wouldn't, but he had a good week, and if you have him, you needed that.
Yeah.
Honorable mentions: we had Sam Howell for the Washington team, Justin Herbert, and Jalen Hurts. From a running back standpoint, Travis Etienne, who seems to be hitting the studs almost every week now. That guy is just on fire.
He's a league winner right now.
Yeah.
If you got him, you're in good shape.
Yep. Mostert, who without A-Chain is going to see a heavier dose, which is A-Chen. Sorry. Yep, A-Chen. Who's going to see a heavier dose and produced last week. We'll see what he can do against that vaunted Eagles front, though. And then says Williams. There's a Williams out there that picked up then Breece Hall, Henry, and Stevenson for the Patriots showed up in honorable mentions this week.
Yep.
So it's nice to see. Wide receivers, welcome back, St. Brown. St. Brown. Was dealing with a foot injury or an ankle injury, came back and looked real good last week.
Yeah, I was a little worried that he'd come back flat, especially with Jameson Williams back. And it's like, don't falter. But he's kind of the every down back too that they can dunk to, and Williams is going to be the long ball threat. I think.
I think Williams is only gonna help St. Brown because they can no longer double team him. Him and Laporta are gonna see a boost because of it.
Yeah, and Laporta's going to see a nice boost with Montgomery out. I mean, it's time for Jahmyr Gibbs to step up, but I think Laporta is going to take a lot of that glory right there.
I don't know if Gibbs steps up this week. One, they're going against Baltimore.
Yeah, I don't see him. I don't see him, but him being in the game is going to make a difference. But I bet you Laporta gets the lion's share of the goodies this week out of all of them.
We'll see. And especially because Jahmyr Gibbs is also coming off of a hamstring injury. I have him in our dynasty league, but I didn't start him this week. Coming off of an injury against a tough defense in their own house. So they're not in Detroit. They're going to be in Baltimore. So
right, and they're both top 5 Ds. So it could be a very low scoring affair, being that Baltimore doesn't have running backs.
Right.
Basically.
Yep. So the next one is Adam Thielen. Your guys just continuing to put up points. The Panthers don't look good, but man, he just keeps putting up points.
Yeah.
Then your other boy, Tyreek Hill, continuing to be Tyreek Hill.
Needs what's he need? 186 yards, I think, to get to
1,000.
1,000.
Yeah. Through freaking
more
6
than
games.
hopefully get 40 this week, but you never know.
Hey, listen, 40 could be one play with that guy.
Oh, it could. A 40-yard catch for him could result in 11 points.
And a 40-yard catch for him could be that they throw him a little bubble screen in the backfield and he just outruns everybody.
Yeah.
Honorable mention last week, we have Cooper Kupp. We're returning Cooper Kupp. Welcome back, Cooper. Man, did I miss you?
Oh, man, did I miss him too, because he shut down
Puka.
I needed that win. I beat our undefeated guy because Puka was one of the guys who kind of left them hanging.
That's awesome.
That was nice. Yeah. Good for Cooper.
Yep. Keenan Allen. Man, did you let him go a year too soon?
Yep. Well, I didn't pick until 31.
Yeah, but he was a keeper.
Yeah, but it was like him, Olave, Hill, or St. Brown.
Yeah.
and he's getting a little long in the tooth, but certainly he has a wonderful year. But I kept the three younger guys, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay
Yeah.
with that. I
Olave's
picked up Williams in the draft, but he got hurt. So
Olave's been a little disappointing. I'm not gonna lie.
he has been.
Him and Carr just don't seem to be on the same page.
Yeah, I think he's ready to catch the ball, but Carr is not he's just not the answer there this year.
I don't know
if everybody thought he would be.
Yeah, I don't know if he's ready to catch the ball. I watched him give up on multiple routes, just stopped running.
Yeah.
Like there's something there that's just not clicking with that offense.
Yeah, I agree.
And then
they've got plenty of mouths to feed, and nobody's eating.
Nobody's doing it.
Kamara, what got?
They have no chef.
But
they're plenty of mouths to feed with no chef.
Right. Yeah, Carr. Everybody thought Carr would be. I thought he would be a great addition to that team. And I'll tell you, I miss the days of
Jameis. The funny thing is they talked about that at halftime, and Fitzpatrick's, because he played with Jameis that famous year. He backed him up. He's like, you have a guy who's on the bench who's thrown for 5,000 yards and 30+ touchdowns,
and he loved Olave.
Yep, he did.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. That's a big contract to put on the bench if you're going to bench Carr, though. So
yeah.
And then Drake London, welcome to the honorable mentions, brother.
He's back.
The Falcons are showing some life on offense. They've basically been a run game and defense to this point.
I think they were a little Bijan centric to begin with. We're going to unleash him, and we're just going to roar through this league. And then they realized, oh shit, we got to throw the ball. And even Pitt's coming back on. So, and I've been riding him for a while, and so their passing game is looking good.
What's going on, Justin? So then from a tight end standpoint, Kelsey and Schultz were the two studs last week. Honorable mention, you had Pitts, a return sighting of Jonnu Smith. I haven't seen Jonnu Smith since he left Tennessee show up. And then a rookie, Michael Myers, or Mayer, Michael Mayer.
Appropriate time of the year for
Michael Mayer is actually how you say it. Michael Mayer. He had a really good game for Vegas last week. Finally saw him out of Notre Dame. The kid's looking good. So let's talk a little bit about the duds. Quarterbacks and Justin Fields left the game hurt. One of the reasons why he wasn't having a great game before he got hurt, but
dislocated his thumb.
Yeah. Kittle. Here's the problem, Justin, with Kittle. Kittle is so roller coaster up and down. He's boom or bust every week, but when he booms huge.
Right.
But the crazy part about all of that was they lost McCaffrey and Debo early, and they still didn't go to him.
Yeah,
it was nuts. Purdy was just bad game for Purdy.
He was due. He's still a young kid, and but Kittle. Normally he's a problem of too many mouths to feed, but this last week just kind of faded.
It was a problem of a really good defense too. Say what you want, but that Cleveland defense is vaunted. Like, they are so good. They had players last year. Their coordinator wasn't very good, and then they went out and got the coordinator, and it's looking a lot better. Then Kirk Cousins, bad game this week, and then Purdy. We talked about him. From a dishonorable mention, there was none. Those were like the three main guys. Honorable mention. Everyone, all the other quarterbacks, kind of just did. Pretty well. Running backs, Dameon Pierce still does not look good. Devin Singletary seems to be out gaining him every week now.
Yeah.
At what point do they just go to turn to Devin Singletary and stop giving Dameon Pierce the ball? Because he does not look like it's a different system than it was last year. As they brought in a new head coach, new offensive coordinator. But man, whatever the system is not working for Dameon Pierce at all.
Their run game really is kind of non-existent, but they got Stroud throwing really well, and he can run the ball. So they have they're not turning right to the running back every play. They're looking downfield.
Yeah, he threw his first pick this year too. Stroud.
Yeah.
Good for him going 5+ games without throwing an interception to start your career. That's pretty awesome.
Sure. Now they,
Yep. David Montgomery, another guy who got hurt in the middle of the game, so he shows up on the duds list, and it looks like he's going to be missing a couple games now. That's the second time he's gone down this year. So he's been fantastic when he's healthy. The problem is, so far this year, he hasn't been able to stay healthy.
Well, they run him right up the. I mean, he's getting
over and
hammered.
Over.
It's like here. Can you please run through this stucco wall for me 50 times?
Right. and I mean, he does it. He's been looking great doing it. It's just, we'll see what it looks like now with Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield coming back off of a hamstring, and then Rashee White. He has not looked good this year.
No.
That Tampa Bay offense is a pass-centric offense. They have no run game whatsoever. And I don't know if it's the running back or just the scheme, but it's just not working.
Yeah. Well, they're relying on their defense to keep it low because they're not outscoring anybody really.
Yep. And then dishonorable mentions, we have James Cook, Javonte Williams, and Joe Mixon. Just, Joe Mixon was probably the best of the bunch, but really wasn't all that great. He was still under 10 fantasy points. And Joe Mixon's a, top 2 round pick normally. Top 2, top 3, round pick. You need them to do more for you. Wide receivers, Deebo Samuel, another guy who got hurt.
Yeah.
D-Hop. I don't know what's going on. Tannehill got hurt, and then they brought in. But before Tannehill got hurt, D-Hop had 1 target. That was it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what's going on in Tennessee. And then T. Higgins, who just seems to be having a down year in his contract year. Yeah. And I don't know if it's just the Joe Burrow effect because he's just been hurt and struggling or what's going on. He's boom or bust, very much like Kittle.
Yeah, that's a two-person system that just isn't thrown to the second person anymore. I mean, Chase is getting plenty of attempts, but Higgins, it's like if he misses one, they don't want to go back to him.
Yeah. I know another offense who's been doing that. It's just it's a one-person system. You throw to Stephon Diggs over and over and over.
Yeah. Well, you got to give Gabe Davis a lot of credit this year. I mean, he's got a touchdown in almost every game, doesn't he?
You got touchdowns every game, but he also has either a big drop or a turnover in almost every game too, which hurts you. You can't do that. Yeah. If you want to be a top 2 receiver, you have to be more, consistent.
Right.
And that's been Gabe's problem to this point. He has the highs of highs, but he also has the lows of lows.
You guys don't have that third guy like you have in the past. You just don't have that. You guys have.
We have a bunch of guys, but none of them have stepped up to this point.
Well, and your tight ends are basically hurt. Mm-hmm. Well, your number 3 tight end caught a touchdown last week,
and he was actually hurt. He has a high ankle sprain. He's going to miss a few weeks now. If you saw him in the end zone, he was hobbling on one foot because he sprained his ankle on the play before. And we didn't have another tight end because Kincaid was out, so he stayed on the field. And his role on that play was just to run a clear to get the guy underneath, and nobody was open, so he just scrambled around and caught the touchdown. Nuts, right?
They've always got a hole somewhere.
Yep. Josh Allen will find it as he runs around.
Well, luckily they got Josh Allen who can run the ball because your running game is haphazard. Cook is just not. Is he too small? Is he too? Because he's fast.
Mm-hmm.
He can catch the ball, but it's like I see him running up against a line and there's no bounce. He's not bouncing out and going around, and he's definitely not going through a line.
Yeah, I think most of the problem with the Bills' running game is the inconsistency of the use. Like last week, we ran the ball good in the first half, but we only gave them 4 carries. We started in the second half and we ran the ball, which opened everything up, and we did great. Like last week, Cook had 12 for 76 on the ground. I mean, when you're getting 12 carries, when you're getting 12 carries, you're not getting, the week before he had 5 carries, -4 yards. But for the most part, he tends to get 4, 5, 6 yards a carry when he gets it. It's just we don't consistently run the ball, which is part of the problem.
Well, New England's really weak in the red zone, so maybe you guys get some.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think red zone's going to be James Cook. I think it's going to be Murray in the
What?
red zone.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll
but
talk about that later. So, from a wide receiver dud standpoint, we had Jerry Jeudy, Devontae Adams, and Calvin Ridley, all big time names, dudded out in week 6. Tight ends,
Ridley is way hit and miss lately.
yeah,
I mean, the other night you wouldn't have known he was even playing against the Saints.
and they give him opportunities, he's just not making them. Ever since that London game, he hasn't done nothing. Christian Kirk bailed out on Thursday night, bailed him out with that little. That was a Tyreek Hill play. Yeah, that was a Tyreek Hill type play. A little 2-yard dump off that turns into a 50-yard touchdown run.
Yep.
Give it credit to those wide receivers blocking downfield. Then from a tight end standpoint, we have Higbee and Ferguson, who tend to be on this list almost every week now, and then Cole Kmet, and then dishonorable mention is Laporta. His first time he's showed up there. He just did not have a good game last week. They didn't use him right. So that's our studs and duds for week 6. Let's go into bye weeks. It's a big bye week. There's 6 teams on byes. We have the Bengals, the Cowboys, the Titans, the Jets, the Panthers, and the Texans. So, Howie, with that, who do you have if someone needs a last-minute replacement? Who are you looking at for those teams?
Well, if you're needing a quarterback, I mean, there's still a lot of good quarterbacks out there, but if you're hurting for one right now, 3 guys that you can't really go wrong on for this week anyway would be Jordan Love, Sam Howell, or Brock Purdy. I think they're all in steady enough games where they're going to do fine. Howell gets sacked a lot, but he moves around a lot, and he's putting up a lot of yardage. Jordan Love's going up against Denver.
Yeah.
So anytime anybody who's gone up against Denver lately, you play him. And Purdy's, he lost a game, but he still did okay fantasy wise. So if you don't have your Burrow this week, or whoever it may be, one of those guys might help him at quarterback.
If I had to choose one, I'm not going Purdy. Is Purdy still missing weapons? And I want to see him do it without those weapons before I pick him up. I'm probably going Sam Howell. Sam Howell's going against the Giants. Sam Howell is also in a pass-happy offense. And, it's the guy who I trust more. Jordan Love, I don't know what Jordan Love is. Week to week, he's up and down.
Well, so he's got Watson back. It looks like Aaron Jones is back. Looks like he's going to have everybody there.
But his offensive line isn't back. Bakhtiari's out for the year. So it's going to be one of those things of what Jordan Love do you get? Do you get the good Jordan or do you get the bad Jordan?
That's true.
So if I think Hal is your safest bet of the 3, but that's just me.
Right. Well, I give you 3 because there's 6 teams on by, and if put it this way, if you're waiting until Saturday to go get these guys, they're not going to be there.
Yeah.
I
mean,
I went a little deep, so that they still might be there on Saturday. That's kind of what I'm looking for.
And they're all under 50% ownage. So, all right. So let's look for the next running backs, the next category.
Running backs. I got a couple. I got Jaleel McLaughlin from Denver. I like him. I picked him up. I've got him sitting on the bench, but I like him. Donta Freeman. I don't know. They're going to have to run. They're going to have to run the ball. There's him and that Evans kid. Let's see. Who else did I have? Oh, and then Latavius Murray in Buffalo. There, I don't see him doing a lot, but since they're so weak in the red zone, I see him get vulturing a touchdown or 2.
All right. Another guy who was just reactivated today, and since this is done on Saturday, if you need a running back, Jeff Wilson from Miami, he'll be the RB. He'll probably be the RB2 behind Mostert, and pick up some carries. He's a guy who was actually the starter, who just has been hurt all year, and Mostert and Achane kind of ran with it. So it'll be interesting to see what what Jeff Wilson looks like moving forward this year.
Right, and maybe they use them in a tandem. They'll need to do something against the Eagles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who else you got on your list?
Okay, well, if you need a receiver, he's probably already gone. Rashee Rice for Kansas City,
Mm-hmm.
but right now he's getting the lion's share of things. But with Kansas City, one week you could be the GOAT, and the next week you're nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends who. And I think Mahomes actually thinks that way. He's like, everybody thinks I'm going here this week. Let's go for somebody out of the blue. I mean, Sky Moore could end up being the guy this week.
Rashee Rice, just so you know, Rashee Rice is only owned in less than 50% of leagues.
Right. That's
Overall.
what I was looking at. He's not owning a lot, but he's the hot hand right now in Kansas City. And then Deontay's coming back in Pittsburgh. So
okay. Interested to see where he fits in, because he was wide receiver 1 when he got hurt. So being interested to see where he fits in moving forward.
Well, with the two of them now, there's a little, it takes the pressure off both of them. So let's see what happens. Now in that game, Freiermuth is out.
Yeah,
they're tight end, so they'll be going with whoever their backup is there. But he might be a nice little surprise.
Their backup is the Georgia rookie. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's like his freaking nature. He's like 6'7", 250, runs, blocks, runs like a 4.45 40, just crazy athletic.
Well, let's see how he does. Yeah, and then another receiver I kind of like this week. He's got a good matchup is Romeo Doubs. It depends what Jordan Love you get, but Dobbs is not rostered on a lot of teams, and Christian Watson's going to be getting he's going to be getting best of Denver's defense at him.
Patrick Surtain.
Yeah, Surtain.
Yeah.
And then you've also, like, for your hurting for a tight end, Luke Musgrave in that game. You're playing against anybody. Like I said, anybody who's playing against Denver, you want to get them in the game. And I also like Logan Thomas as a tight end this week.
Okay.
He's not
up and down.
He's up and down, but he's tough. He's tough. He took that shot in, I think it was the Denver game, where it looked like he got knocked out in the end zone, and he held on to the ball.
Yeah.
So I like him.
Yeah. One I would have from a tight end standpoint, Dalton Kincaid's returning this week. The offense looked a little stuck last week without that second tight end, so it'll be interesting to see if the offense looks any better with the return of the rookie. At some point, they're going to start throwing it to him. He's been getting 4 catches a game, but he's been getting 4 catches for 30 yards. At some point, if they're going to have to start going to someone other than Diggs.
Right. Well, and I think the mystique around Belichick about him saying he can always take away your best player.
Yeah.
I think that's fading. I think his days are numbered. I think they're playing for him to get his record. I don't think he's playing. I don't think the fire's still there. So
something's off there. That's for sure.
Something is off. Do they take away your best player? Well, who's that going to be? It's either going to be Allen or Diggs. I don't know.
And they haven't done it in 4 of the last 5 games they played. We have an average win score of 19.
Well, it is flipped from the days of the Patriots owning the Bills.
Well, it wasn't
Definitely.
the Patriots. It was Tom Brady.
Well, Tom Brady. Well, there you go.
It wasn't the Patriots.
Tom Brady was a Patriot for 12 years. So.
Yeah, I think it was longer than that.
Yeah,
but Tom Brady is more like 20 years. It was a stupid Patriot, that jackass. He would never go away. He would never go away. And then we played him in Tampa Bay, and he beat us in Tampa Bay too. That jerk.
Some people have teams that they just like to play against.
Yep. So okay, so let's move on to our key matchups. We'll start. We have the Lions at Ravens. Really interesting matchup from a fantasy standpoint. You're not exactly sure what the Ravens are at this point. They've looked really good against bad teams and so against, mid-tier teams. So they're playing a really good team in the Lions this week. Yeah. So I'll be interested to see what the Ravens look like offensively and defensively. the Lions seem to be one of the powerhouses in the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, geez, Baltimore's got Lamar, but then they don't have a running game after that, I don't think. And Zay Flowers is pretty much their top guy receiving. Now they got I don't know if let's see. Yeah.
Go ahead and finish your sentence, and we'll get to the question.
I don't like the receivers on that team, and Detroit's defense with Hutchinson in the middle.
Yeah.
There. Oh, he's badass. I love watching him.
Him and McNeil.
You know, he's a kid that plays with so much life, and I mean, he just you can tell he's just ready to explode every time he plays. So I see Detroit taking this game.
All right. I think Detroit will win the game. However, from a fantasy standpoint, I think Lamar's going to have a good day. I think he's going to have to be Superman in order for them to do really well.
Right.
But to hit Spen's question, Cooper, Addison, or DK Metcalf, who are you going with this week? I'm probably going with Addison. DK's still nursing an injury. He's playing, but he doesn't look the same. And Cooper's still without Deshaun Watson. So if I had to go with one, I'm probably going Addison. You know,
I like Jordan Addison early. I picked him up on my roster, but I just traded him away recently. He was really good as a complement to Jefferson, but without him, he's not the same player. I'm looking at Amari Cooper in this
with PJ Walker.
Yeah.
Whew. You're braver than me. Nope, I'm going Addison.
I mean, Addison's got a good ceiling, but Cousins just doesn't seem to link with him as well. I mean, Jefferson, they made it look easy, and Addison, it seems very forced.
Let's see what did Addison do. Yeah, so Addison last week had 5 targets, 3 catches, 28 yards, and a touchdown. You know. We'll see. You know, TJ Hawkinson was the main target. He had 8 targets.
That was a good week for Addison.
Yeah.
With a touchdown.
Yeah.
He only had a couple.
Yeah, having a touchdown definitely helps. Yeah. So, Scott, yes, there will be a pepper challenge at the end of the show, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, but PJ throws to Cooper versus Watson. When PJ's on target, what PJ do you get?
Yeah.
You know, Walker sometimes looks great, sometimes bad. Scott,
I would go Norwood.
That's funny. That's funny. See, even though the Bills fans troll the Scott Norwood thing, Howie.
I like you've seen that Visa commercial, right? Where the generation after generations going into the sports shop buying Buffalo shirts. And the last little one has a little girl that says, "Oh, thanks, Grandpa." And she turns around and it's Norwood.
Yeah, I know.
I thought that was great.
I know.
I gotta get me one.
Spin. It sounds like you're talking yourself into who you want to start. You asked me a question. I told you who I would start. You know.
And I told him Cooper, and I think he's absolutely right.
And
you're a remarkably smart man.
You stop sucking up to the chat. Stop sucking up to the chat.
Hey, I need fans, man.
That's funny. That's really funny. So okay, so let's look at the next game. We have the Steelers at the Rams. Be interesting game. The Steelers, like, you don't know what you get from week to week. The Rams seem to be coming on now that Cooper Kupp is back. And you have Puka Nacua. No Kyren Williams this week.
Yeah,
so
that's a
loss.
Could be a problem because all they got Zach Evans, and they re-signed Henderson, but they've got a really good receiving corps. So, I mean, Higbee might even be relevant this week because of the running game.
Yeah, you know. But if you're just one dimensional, that Steelers defense is, you still have TJ Watt coming off the edge.
Yeah.
So,
but then you look at the Steelers. They got Najee and Jaylen Warren, and they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Does Deontay help with Pickens? Is that going to help against the Rams? But I just don't think the Steelers have enough oomph to take them, and they're at home. The Rams are at home, so I'm still picking the Rams in this game. I think, Stafford's feeling pretty comfortable with his receiving core right now. I mean, people know that they got to go after Cup, but they can't leave Nakua alone, and they can't leave Atwell alone. And if they jump on all of them, Higbee, for what he hasn't done, is still, it could hurt him bad. Now Skoranic's out this week too, so it's going to be an air game.
Okay.
I don't see a whole lot of running.
because the Steelers don't have a run game at all.
Right.
And with Aaron Donald and company, they're not going to get one going this week. So it's going to be a tale of two aerial attacks this game.
Yeah.
Going back to Spen's question earlier, I was looking at it. The Vikings have the 49ers and the Browns have the Colts. So I'll take Cooper against the Colts. I didn't know who they were playing this week. I was just looking at it from a true, pitch and catch. Yeah. But I'll take my chances with PJ Walker against that Colts defense versus the 49ers defense. That 49ers defense is legit.
Yeah.
This is a good one. Josh Downs versus Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy is playing Green Bay. And what Green Bay team do you get? Is Jair Alexander playing? And if he is, he's probably going to end up going up against Sutton. Someone's really trying to get a hold of you. And then Josh Downs, I don't know. Who are you going with here?
Well, God. Maybe I think Downs has got the hot hand lately, but and then I think I'll go with Jeudy. I'm flipping a coin here, but I think I would go with Jerry Jeudy this week.
Yeah, I'd probably go Jerry Jeudy too. Josh Downs just seems to be down the I like the idea of him, but they just don't use him enough. I think that's my problem with Downs. I don't know. Njoku or Kincaid? I'm probably going Kincaid. He's returning, and as bad as the Bills' offense looked last week, I think they're going to get him involved. Right. But it's all speculation because you haven't seen it yet.
Right. And Njoku, a tight end's always a quarterback's best friend, especially a backup.
How much does he play too? Because he's coming off that.
He's been out a lot.
Well, he got burned his face and stuff, and he came back and played, but he only played, a small amount of reps.
They're both, they're both. It depends how they use them, because I don't want to go into Buffalo's OC anymore, but you don't know how they're going to use him. I haven't seen them use him well this year, Kincaid. I just haven't seen it. I'm going to go with Njoku. Just gut feeling.
And Scott, I'm right there with you, brother. I'm in almost all of them too. I'm not just Bills Mafia. I'm a Bills junkie. I have a problem. I do. I have a problem. I know it. Michael comes in and says, I've got a few questions. My running back situation is a mess this week due to Henry and Pollard on bye. I'm starting Bijan and Foreman. My bench options are Zach Moss and A.J. Dillon. I might go Zach Moss over Foreman. Foreman's got the Raiders, but he hasn't done much to this point. Zach Moss, even with Jonathan Taylor back, has been the better of the two backs to this point. Yeah. AJ Dillon's going to be back in the reserve role as Aaron Jones is back. So I would probably go Bijan and Zach Moss. But Zach's going against that Cleveland defense.
Yeah.
You know what? You might be right. That is a mess.
Now, Foreman, he's got that quarterback. Was it Bateman?
Bezert or Bezit or something like that.
I saw a special on him this week. His dad's like a arm wrestling champion, and he's a big, strong guy. I'm wondering if there's going to be a little bit of 1-2 action in that backfield, like more running.
Isn't that like Bassett or something like that?
It's Baggett.
Baggett or something like
that.
Okay.
but they're big guys.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm still going to go with Zach Moss, even with Cleveland's knee,
I mean,
because McCaffrey still did good against Cleveland until he got hurt.
yeah, but McCaffrey's a different beast.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, I don't know. I'm going to go with Moss over Foreman, and I've got Foreman on my bench.
I don't think you have any great options here. Outside of Bijan, none of them are great options. But, with Taylor being back and them playing Cleveland, Zach Moss would not be in my, one of my picks. I would probably go with Foreman because of the defense. If they weren't playing Cleveland, who's just been, lights out this year, I'd probably go Zach Moss. But I think I would just roll the dice with Foreman. I think he has a higher ceiling. Zach Moss probably has the lower floor. Honestly, or the higher floor, and then Foreman has the higher ceiling. That's just my take. What the hell do I know? Okay, so let's keep moving through. Let's go to the final game. This was one of the questions in there. Dolphins at Eagles. Really interesting. We were talking before the show, and I was, as a Bills fan, you said I'm a little biased, but I was saying I went through the Dolphins schedule. They have played one really good defense, and they've lost. Outside of that, they've had a pretty cupcake schedule to this point. Now they're going to come into an Eagles team. So what's your thoughts here? Are you going to see the same high-powered, up and down the field, Dolphins, or are you going to see more like what the Bills did to them and be able to shut some of that down?
I think Miami's going to come out and try to bull them over. Right from the beginning, they'll probably dump one off to Tyreek right away, try to jump on that advantage, and then use Mostert and Wilson to help control the game after that. But if the Eagles hold them tough, then it could be a whole different ballgame. I think the key to beating the Eagles is beating them on third down. Don't let them get to beat them on second down. Don't let them get to 3rd and 1. Don't let them get to 3rd and a half, because they're just going to do the tush push thing over and over and over and over again. I've seen them do it from 2-3 yards out. I mean, they have got that down. That's no longer a quarterback sneak. Mm-hmm. It's
short yardage
short yardage scrum.
Yeah.
But they've got it down. So when they got beat this last week, they never were in a position to use that play. And without that play, it's like, oh, geez, what do we do on third down? They were. I mean,
they still have Swift.
They were a little bit lost. They do
Swift
have
and Gainwell,
yeah,
and they still have other guys there. My thing is both of these teams are very similar in the fact of if you get them into 3rd and short, they're probably going to pick it up and they're going to keep moving the chains. You have to get these guys in 3rd and longs because you have Tua, and then you also have Jalen Hurts, both guys who aren't great in 3rd and longs.
All right, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you can keep Eagles away from 3rd and short, you have a much better chance of beating them.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. The problem is Miami hasn't been able to keep anybody from 3rd and short really all year. Right. That defense has been really bad most of the year. And on the offensive side for the Dolphins, if you start hitting Tua, he starts, if you don't get to Tua, he gets comfortable and he'll just pick you apart.
Yeah.
But if you take away that first read and you hit Tua, and they have pass rushers on that team in waves, and that's when Tua gets a little sketchy and starts
making
up and
punch him in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It'll shake him up. That's what I'm saying. If Miami can get out there and jump on him right away, get that control, that'll be huge. But if the Eagles can stop them, make maybe a 3 and out to begin with, then the Eagles have a lot better chance, I think.
Yeah, it's funny. You have a team. Your team's in the NFC East. Mine's in the AFC East. So I'm talking about how to beat the Dolphins. You're talking about how to beat the Eagles. Coincidence?
Hey, when they were undefeated last year, who beat them? Washington.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they can do it again, but we'll see.
Yeah. The Washington team was different last year than it is this year. But let's go to the chat. We got a question. I'm pretty set on starting Foreman. I think that's a smart call. At tight end, I'm starting Kittle. Flex, I have DK and Waller. Bench options are Dubs, Njoku, Judy, and KJ. I think flex. Kittle,
kinda
I
like
understand.
Waller.
You like who?
I like Waller this week. He's
You
going
like
to be
Waller?
he's going to be one of their only weapons. Him and Saquon. But
Yeah. So who is the Seattle playing? Seattle's playing the Cardinals. DK against that Cardinals team is a juicy matchup too.
yeah.
You know, the Commanders.
Is it DK and Waller or Waller? He can
Do you
play.
just run one flex? If you just run one flex,
I would go DK.
I would go DK as well. Like Kittle starting at tight end. You might even think about going with Waller at tight end. Kittle's been up and down, and if you're
That's true.
comfortable with Waller at all, you could just rock Waller at tight end, DK at flex. Like I have not seen Kittle was like nothing last week at all. It just disappears. He has two flexes. So okay. So then I would go with what you're going with there. I wouldn't put in Dobbs or Judy. Those are probably the only two that I'd look to add in, but I think you have your best flex there with DK and Waller. That's what I would do.
If they weren't playing the Niners, I'd play KJ. That's Osborne, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I like him. I really like him. I like him better than Addison. To be honest with you.
I like Kittle too, but the problem was Kittle went out last week and McCaffrey went out last week and they didn't use him at all. Hopefully they looked at the tape and realized, maybe we need to get Kittle involved. I have Kittle in one of my leagues and I would love him to actually go off. The 1 week he went off, I didn't even have him in the game because I'm like, he hasn't done nothing for me. I sat him on the bench and then he went off. So,
inconsistency hurts.
Yes, it does. So, okay, moving on. So at the end of the day, what offense are you taking? What team do you think ultimately takes this one? Dolphins or Eagles?
Dolphins.
And I think it's gonna be the Eagles. Imagine that.
I can't imagine.
I can't imagine why you picked the Dolphins and I picked the Eagles. Wonder why that is. All right, so let's get into some sit starts around the league. All righty. So start at some quarterbacks. Would you go Jordan Love at Denver, or would you go Kirk Cousins versus San Francisco?
I would go Jordan Love at Denver. I think Kirk's in for a rough day.
I think Kirk's the better quarterback, but has the much tougher matchup.
That's a tough road to hoe. Well, without Jefferson, it changes everything for him. He's got Hawkinson, and Addison's just not. He's not Jefferson.
Yeah,
he's Jefferson like.
No, nobody is. Jefferson's like one of the top 3 receivers in the game.
Right.
He's in that tier 1. I mean, there's a lot of guys in that tier 1. You have Tyreek, you have Jefferson, you have AJ, you have Diggs. There's Adams. There's a bunch.
I think you give Addison a couple years and he'll be another Keenan Allen, but not yet.
Without the size.
Yeah, it takes 2 or 3 years for. Some of your prima donnas that they come out and they're great as rookies and they're always good. But a lot of your best receivers, especially in fantasy, once it takes them 2 or 3 years to really get rolling, and it's maturity, I think.
Here's one for you. You ready? Would you go Tyrod Taylor or would you go Mac Jones? Tyrod Taylor versus Washington or Mac Jones versus Buffalo?
I think Taylor has a better chance of winning.
Who has the better chance of fantasy output?
Well, Taylor runs the ball pretty good.
And has a good deep ball.
Yeah, I would stick with Taylor. I have a feeling Buffalo really wants to go in there and
Yeah, we always.
That's what they want to. They want to beat up the Patriots. Do they? Well, yes. They're supposed to. On paper, they're supposed to. So I'm still going with Tyrod.
I'm going Tyrod as well, and for multiple reasons. One, Tyrod does not turn the ball over at all. He doesn't do it, and Mac has been turning the ball over like crazy.
And he's got Waller to dump it up to, and he's got Saquon to hand it off to. So, Kittle versus Laporta.
Yeah, Kittle versus Laporta. Who you going with, Howie?
I like Laporta. Like I said, Kittle's inconsistent. Very good football player to have on your team, but not a great fantasy target anymore.
He was never a great fantasy target. He's always been inconsistent because he's in a Shanahan offense. If you were playing football, Kittle's the better.
I want him on my
player.
team.
Yeah, he's the better football player because he's the better blocker and he does so much for his team. I think Laporta's the better fantasy option, and I would probably go Laporta as well this week, as I think Laporta is gonna have a bounce back week after last week. And against that Baltimore team, I have a feeling Laporta is going to be the safety valve for them. That check down.
All right. He's basically going to be the number 2 running back kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'd probably go Laporta as well. Love Kittle. And you always got to keep him. If you have him, you got to keep him in your lineup because you never know at what point he gets those 3 catches for 3 touchdowns. It happens at any point.
Yeah.
So, okay. Then the next one, Baker Mayfield versus Atlanta or Josh Dobbs at Seattle?
Oh man,
not easy, are they?
If you're in this position,
you're in trouble.
Boy, it's a tight week. You better hope somebody else gets.
Well, if someone could have Burrow or one of those bye weeks, and this could be their backup.
I like watching Dobbs. I like how he plays.
He's fun to watch to play.
He doesn't have a whole lot of weapons. I mean, their running backs now, you hardly can pronounce either one of their names. And he's got what? He's got Hollywood and he's got Michael Wilson for wide receivers, whereas Baker of course has Godwin and Evans.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about
and Kate Otten.
Yeah, but White is not a lot of running game, but of course neither do. Oh God, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go with Dobbs.
Just so you know, Kyron Williams was just placed on IR, so he's gonna miss the next 4 weeks in LA. That's a big one. That's a big one for the Rams. Kyron Williams looked so good.
Go out and get you some, Zach Evans or Henderson.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, if you need running back.
Yep. So from a last quarterback one, you going with Lamar Jackson against Detroit, or are you going with Brock Purdy at Minnesota?
I think Purdy's going to eat this week. Minnesota can't stop itself, can't get out of its own way. They fumble a lot. Yeah.
It's the same thing, brother. Fantasy Kingdom's on the Mafia Sports Report Network. The one and the same. The real question is Howie versus Tommy. That's the real question.
There you go. Let's have it.
So for the chat, that's Howie versus Tommy. Where's Tommy? I know he's in here watching.
Really, Tommy's going to be all of a sudden the screen's going to go blank or something.
Right. All right. So let's transition over to running backs. Would you go DeAndre Swift against Miami, or would you go Bijan Robinson at Tampa Bay?
I would go DeAndre Swift. Bijan still he has yet to impress me. Maybe it's a maturity thing. Maybe he's getting used to the league or whatever. But the Eagles are going to try to run on Miami. That's the way they're going to beat them if they're going to beat them. They're not going to beat them long. They're going to have to just crunch. Third down, butt push, crunch. I think if they do that and they maintain possession of the ball longer, then they have a really good chance of beating Miami.
Oh, Fantasy Kingdom versus Friday Night Lights.
Oh, you know where I'm going.
I have no skin in this game as I'm on both of them. I actually host both of them. So
if you watch them both, you pick, Spin.
Yeah, you watch them both.
And if you say Fantasy Kingdom, I'll agree with you.
Again, it comes back to Tommy versus Howie.
It depends how much you really, really like. I mean, if you like listening to Bills for a couple hours, 3 or 4 times a week, then Friday Night Lights is probably your gig.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I'm a Washington fan, but I'm a
He's an
fantasy- I'm a
anti-Bills
fantasy guy
fan.
first.
He's an
I'm a
anti-Bills
fantasy guy
fan.
first. Well, I'm not really an anti-Bills fan. I followed them back in the '80s, and O.J. Simpson was my favorite player for the longest time. But after Super Bowl 26, I kind of lost respect for them. Once we, they gave us a
Shut up.
couple good quarters in that game, but
Just
they did
stop
better.
it.
They did better than Denver against us, so I'll give them that.
Okay, I'm gonna have to put you on timeout. All right. I have to put you on timeout.
Oh, I got him going. That's a good one.
Okay, let's get back to it. Would you go Jonathan Taylor at Cleveland, or would you go Jahmyr Gibbs at Baltimore?
Wow, picking your lineup for you now.
And we're playing each other this week.
And he's got both those players.
Yep.
Let's see. I know who Gibbs is playing against, and he's not there yet. Taylor. Now who are they playing? They're
playing Cleveland.
Oh man, I kind of like your running back situation this week. I really do. I think you should.
Trek.
I think maybe I'd go with Gibbs.
That's funny.
Oh.
That's funny. Tommy versus Mario from #Sports. I love hashtag. That's where I started, was with #Sports.
Oh, all right.
I love Mario and Paul. Those guys are awesome. Okay. Wide receivers. Let's look at some wide receivers. Would you go Mark, Hollywood Brown at Seattle, or would you go Puka Nacua at Pittsburgh, or versus Pittsburgh at home?
Well, see, the Rams are going to have to throw a lot because they don't have anybody to really run the ball besides Evans. But
here's a good one. While you're thinking about that, I'll read the question. Sutton or Goddard in flex if Metcalf doesn't play? I believe Metcalf's gonna play, but if you had to go with one, I'm probably going with Goddard. The reason for Miami's defense has just been putrid. The Bills went up and down on them, and that's been so did the Chargers. The two really good offenses they played have just gone up and down the field on them. So I would probably go with Goddard. Also, I trust Hurts more than I trust Russell Wilson.
Right.
Yes, they like that data cut in the background. So, anyways, what was your answer to that?
I can't even remember the question.
It was Taylor. It was Hollywood Brown. It was Hollywood Brown versus. Who was the other one that we were just talking about? Puka. Hollywood Brown or Puka?
I think Puka's going to come make a little comeback. I think he went back to the coaches and said, "Hey, I've been your guy for 6 weeks. What the hell? Give me a little love here."
I'm sure he didn't do that, as that's just not his. It's not the way to get it done. He's not Derek Carr.
I'm a rookie. I'm not making a lot, and I'm tired of this Cup guy.
Yeah, I'll tell you, he's not that guy. He's not Derek Carr screaming at the offense coordinator on the sidelines. Jacob comes in and asks, "Is it worth trading Hopkins for Kareem Hunt? Worried about the subpar quarterback play in Tennessee, especially with Tannehill. My other wide receivers are Kupp, Devonta, Jacoby, and Deontay. You have enough wide receivers to do that, but Kareem Hunt, I wouldn't trade for Kareem Hunt. Ford's the lead back there.
Yeah. It depends on what your running back situation looks like, but and you're loaded with receivers. It can't hurt you, but I don't see where it helps you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you get a.
And he says, "Oh, and go Bills." That's right. Not those damn Commanders.
Hey, they're not playing us this week. We already took our ass whooping.
Whoever starts the slot wide receiver for the Rams is the player that you start. Yes, it is. So did you answer the question? Would you make that trade? I wouldn't make the trade for Hunt. I would try.
I don't see where it helps you.
Yeah, I would. Well, Hopkins is their clear-cut wide receiver 1. Hunt is RB2. So why would you trade a clear-cut wide receiver 1? Although he's not getting a ton of targets today for RB2. If you're going to trade Hopkins, I would try to get a better running back.
Yeah.
So if Metcalf does play, you think I should go with Goddard over Gabe Davis, absolutely. I think you should play Goddard. What's your thoughts on that? Would you go Gabe Davis? Or would you go Goddard? Gabe Davis is one of those guys that is touchdown dependent to be solid. He only gets a few targets a game.
Gabe Davis will give you 11 or 12 points. Goddard might get you. See, Goddard used to be more touchdown dependent, but now when they get even close, they're running it. And with Swift in there, I would go with Davis.
Okay.
Because I think it's going to be tough to get points as an Eagle. I think Davis and Hurts are gonna get a lot of it.
Brown is gonna get locked down by Witherspoon. I'd go Puka for a big game. Okay, I love Puka too.
Yeah.
So I would go Goddard and he would go Davis. Davis has a very high ceiling. At any point, Davis could pop off for multiple touchdowns. The problem is Davis is inconsistent.
Well, and Davis might still be in the game come fourth quarter if Buffalo tears them up. Diggs and
Davis won't. When Diggs and Allen leaves, Davis leaves.
Well, okay.
I have a feeling
I'm just hoping for Davis and I'm just hoping for those.
Yeah, you're just hoping it's not Allen and Diggs. I know.
Yeah, Allen and Diggs. I think they should. This is an easy game. I think they ought to set them down at halftime. But we'll see what happens.
I bet you do. My running backs are Kamara and Jacobs, and then a bunch of bums: Ingram, Gainwell, Darrell Henderson. Darrell Henderson may actually. Is he the one that just got re-signed to?
Yeah, he just got re-signed. He just got re-signed. Yeah, he may. The way Rams go through running backs in a week or so, he might be the number one guy.
Especially with Kyren Williams going on IR and being out for 4 weeks, there's a good chance Henderson is the guy. So
now he may not be your guy long term for all the way through the playoffs, but if you need him now, I don't know that he's going to be great this week. But he'll probably be in there next week.
The Pats defense is the worst in the league against the number 2 wide receivers. But Spin, as we talked about it, is Davis truly a number 2 wide receiver?
On the bill, he is. They don't have anybody else.
Is he?
What
has said that he's our wide receiver 2?
Davis?
His targets? Is that what makes him the wide receiver 2? Because it's not his production.
Who else do they throw to?
Really, the running backs were close. It was Diggs, Davis, and targets. So it was Diggs, Davis, and then the running backs.
So he's got to be your number 2.
Yeah.
I know you don't. I know you don't like it because usually you've got a number 3 that's as good as your number 2, but this year you don't.
I need to see more from me, more consistent. He has been inconsistent, Triggs. Very inconsistent. He's the wide receiver. He is the wide receiver in production. Okay, I don't trust him. He's inconsistent. He's a guy who can get you a 40, but he's also a guy who can get you 4.
Well, with 6 teams on bye this week,
Davis. But if you could go Goddard, listen, the Patriots defense isn't great. The Bills' offense at some point is going to click in and they're going to explode. They've been stuck in the mud. This might be the week. So, it's a gamble to go Davis. I think he has the higher ceiling than Goddard. I think Goddard has the higher floor. That's just my take.
Yeah.
All right. Let's look over here. So, let's go Terry McLaurin at the Giants or George Pickens against the Rams.
I'm going to go with my homer pick and go with McLaurin. I think Washington's going to dominate.
Okay.
I'm hoping they'll go to Brian Robinson, but I have a feeling McLaurin's going to get a lot this week.
You're gonna love this one. Would you go Rashee Rice against the Chargers, or would you go Tutu Atwell versus Pittsburgh?
Well, Pittsburgh has a better defense, so I'd probably go with Rashee Rice, but Rashee Rice is one of 4 or 5 people that Mahomes could be throwing to.
Okay. Would you go Rashee Rice or would you go Jameson Williams?
The Detroit Jameson Williams?
Yeah.
I think Rice is going to get more targets. I think Jameson will be home run shots.
$140, 0 touchdowns. Okay. So, yeah, Spen says he's your number 2. In 6 games, he has 341 and 4 touchdowns. But in the last 2 games, I don't think he's done a whole lot. Most of that came during that 3-game win streak.
Yeah. Well, Cook hasn't done that much. Didn't do that much last week either.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, it
by
is what it
default,
is.
but then it goes back to: do you start him or do you go with Goddard?
Yeah, I still start Davis. I think he's good at chance.
he's like, he's the number 2 in targets, but doesn't mean he's the number 2, or he's playing as the number 2. It's listen, guys, Davis is our wide receiver 2 at this point, whether you like it or not. I was just being an ass.
Yeah. Well, unless
he's
you can give me another name.
Well, Goddard.
I know. I mean for the Bills.
But the question was, would you go with Goddard or would you go with Davis?
I would go Davis.
Okay.
But if you're talking about who's number 2 on the Bills, you got to give me another name to make it.
There is no. I mean,
there is no other name.
By target, there is no other name. The closest one would be either Cook or it would be Dalton Kincaid if he ever actually got targets, but he doesn't. It's a Diggs and Davis show, and it's been that way.
Thing. Yeah,
it's one of our issues as Bills fans is why we got all these guys, and you talk about having this this awesome complement of plays that is designed for every person on your every position has a play that's schemed up for them, but we don't see any of them. So
I think last year's team was a little better than this year's team.
Well, we'll get to that later.
We'll
get to that later. Let's go. Would you go? Oh crap! Where did I go? Where did we go? Okay. Juju Smith-Schuster is questionable, but if he plays, would you rather him or Allen Robinson?
They're both on New England now, right?
No, Allen Robinson's Pittsburgh. Juju Smith-Schuster's England. Neither one of them has done anything this year. That's why I'm asking.
No, neither one of them done anything, and Deontay's coming back for Pittsburgh. So does that open it up for Robinson or not? Geez. If you got to play these 2 guys, you're in trouble.
I'm just trying to stump you.
I'm going to go with Robinson. I'm just going to flip a coin and go with Robinson.
I don't even know if Juju's going to play. He's questionable, and when he does play, he's not a non-factor, and he's been that way.
He's not the Juju who came out a few years ago, right?
He's not even the Juju from last year. Yeah. Last year, Juju was good for the Chiefs. He just doesn't fit that system there for whatever reason. All right, let's go look at a couple tight ends, and then we'll wrap this bad boy up. Would you go Kyle Pitts at Tampa Bay, or would you go Darren Waller versus the Giants?
Pitts, I think, is finally cutting loose. I would go with him. I think Waller is going to, for the Giants to have any chance of winning, they're going to have to throw to Waller. But I like Pitts now. I think they, like I said, they were very Bijan-centric early, and now they're starting to use their receiver and their tight end, which is going to open it up for Bijan even more, which will give them what they wanted in the first place. But I think Pitts is finally going to show his goods.
So Zach Ertz at Seattle or Tyler Higbee versus Pitt?
I always like Ertz. I like Ertz. Probably till the day he retires, I pick him over Higbee, mainly because they don't have a whole lot to throw to. They got Wilson and Hollywood, and the Rams have all those receivers. Like I said, Higbee might be in it more because of the running game, but Ertz is kind of their most stable guy on that team besides Hollywood. So I'm gonna go with Ertz.
All right, cool. All right, so let's wrap this bad boy up. Your hot pepper challenge last week, you failed. You don't have to eat your pepper yet. We'll let you pick your hot. This week's hot pepper challenge. We'll have you eat it, and then we'll do X factors. Who is your hot pepper challenge this week?
Okay. He's only going to get about 30 yards scrimmage, but I'm predicting 2 touchdowns. And this is going to be the guy who scores all the points for the Buffalo Bills this weekend, Latavius Murray.
You really don't want Allen and Diggs, do you?
There'll be handoffs inside the 10, and it'll be all Latavius this week. So I'm going 30 scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns.
For Latavius, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead and munch that pepper.
Oh, this was much better than last week.
Last week's like your eyes got watery.
I couldn't talk first bite last week. Now it's starting to hit me a little bit. I'm getting in the back of my tongue. And
all right.
It's a tough pepper, though. I'm having trouble chewing it up. It's either that or my teeth are getting old.
X Factor. This week, I'm going with DeAndre Swift. I love that. Anybody that's going to help me beat the Dolphins, that's going to give the Dolphins an L, I'm good with.
Yeah, I think if he goes off, that's their best chance of beating the Dolphins. And but I'm going to go with Sammy Laporta.
All right.
He had a little rough down week last week, but Montgomery's out. They're going to use him as kind of an adjunct to Gibbs. Sorry that he got me a little bit. They got a lot of weapons this week. Detroit does.
They're getting healthier outside of Montgomery. Detroit, I think this is the healthiest Detroit's been. And a lot of their guys are coming back because they had like 3 wide receivers suspended. Jameson came back early, but this is the first week the other ones come back. If
he starts hitting and they start hitting, that could really it's gonna cut into St. Brown's receptions, but he's going to be that much more dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll be interested to see how
it's a rich man's problem. They're going to have a lot of good mouths to feed.
Yeah.
If I was Goff, I would be a very happy man.
Yeah, especially with that offensive line they have in front of him.
Yeah,
one of the best offensive lines in football.
And his defense.
Yeah, he has a defense that's helping him. It's keeping him fresh on the sidelines, which is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Howie, you got any other tips or tricks for this week?
Like I said, play your Packers if you have them. Play them. Like if you got them, smoke them. Other than that, I mean, if there's a deep guy that I would go for, you might want to look at the Salvon Ahmed. It'd be the 3rd string running back in Miami this week.
And I would say if you got the smoke him if you got him, any of your Eagles, I'd play them. That Miami defense is just not been good this year.
Yeah.
If you have any Eagles, you play those Eagles this week.
I wouldn't play either of the defenses in that.
Neither would I. Neither would I, because it should be a shootout.
Should be a shootout. You don't play their defenses. You don't play Kansas City and the Chargers defense this week.
Mm-hmm.
They're both. That's going to be a score fest.
You don't want to play Detroit or Baltimore's defense this week.
No. It's going to be one of them weeks where you're going to be hurting for points because 6 teams are out, but there's going to be a lot of points scored.
Yeah,
I think it's just going to be one of them weeks, and being that it's at the halfway mark through most fantasy seasons. Now, at the end of this week is when you want to start thinking about trades. So write down what you're thinking about trades for our next week's show.
That's
we're gonna build toward the end of the season because playoffs are 7 weeks away.
Yeah,
and that's gonna be quick.
Yeah, this is a good one. This is a good one. Spen's going with Washington's defense against that Giants offense. I don't blame you. I don't
blame you at all. I think they are going to pile up a few sacks, a strip sack, fumble, maybe run one back. I mean, I'll be wearing my jersey tomorrow.
But would you play them if you had them?
I would play. I would play them, but I have Cleveland, so I'm playing Cleveland. But there's very few teams I would play over them this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one, Spin. I like that.
That's a good one. I mean, you can go out and get them because I'm.
Oh yeah, Buffalo's D versus New England. That's another one. That's a great defense to have versus that offense. Oh my god,
It should be on paper. It is.
Yep. So, all right, for Howie, I am Mikey. Thank you for joining us this week. We'll be back next Saturday, same time. And as always, go Bills.